Greetings and welcome back to the Galley of the Sun. Today we're going to do another episode with our smoker. I love my Yoder YS640 pellet grill. Bought it back in 2017. I've used it hundreds of times. Sadly, this is our last cook on the smoker. No. Until I upgrade it to a YS640S pellet grill, which is just an upgrade you do with a control box. But hey, there we go. No sadness out there. So today we are going to make smoked pulled beef. Now we've tackled all the other big barbecue items. We've done the brisket, we've done short ribs, we've done pulled pork, we've done burnt ends, all of those big staples. We did beef clawed, which years ago was a staple. You know, with the prices difference between brisket and clawed, maybe it's coming back. Well, today we're going to do pulled beef. The best cut to use for pulled beef is chuck. And that's what I have here, about 11 pounds worth of it. It's got good internal marbling, and all of that fat is just gonna add delicious flavor to that pulled beef. The smoker is preheating to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Little counterintuitive. Normally you think, you know, you're doing something pulled low and slow, but as we cook our briskets typically at 350 degrees, the 300 degrees is going to help us out here too. To get some extra smoke flavor into it today, I'm going to be using my amazing smoke tube too. I'm going to be filling this with pellets, hitting it with a torch, getting the fire going, blowing that out, and then as these smolder, they're going to add extra flavor. Well, why am I doing that? Because these are only going to be sitting in the smoker for about 3 hours. All I'm trying to do in that 3 hours is get the bark set, and then we'll move on to the next step, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But to get these prepped, all you need to do is get a rub on them. Now, some people believe in a binder. I've never had a problem with my rub, so I'm not going to use a binder today. What I am using is this incredible Cattleman's Roadhouse rub. Now, this stuff has a bunch of interesting flavors in it. Salt, black pepper, celery seed, bay leaves, cumin, garlic, onion, and chili peppers. Now, it's not hot at all. I believe, if I remember right, they're guajillo peppers. Could be chipotle, but I know this doesn't have a bite. Just an incredible flavor. You can get this from All Things Barbecue, atbbq.com, out of Wichita, Kansas, where good people come from. Like me. Okay, so let's get these rubbed. Going to be pretty liberal with this. We want a good bark on these, and they're big hunks of meat, and they got a lot of fat, so they can take a lot of rub. Make sure you get the sides of them. Once I get all this done, we'll go out to the smoker. We'll see you then. All right, we're out here to the smoker. She's sitting at 320 degrees. Now we're going to get our smoke tube filled and then get that lit. All right, it's been my experience that it's way easier to fill this from the hopper than trying to pour a 40-pound bag into that little opening there. Disaster has ensued several times. If you do have a pellet smoker, this is an absolute must-have, especially for those cooks where your meat is not on the smoker for an extended period of time. If you love that smoky flavor, this will get it to you. We got that filled up. We're gonna take it and just set it right over the firebox, and then we're gonna get that puppy lit. And then we're going to get that puppy lit. And then we're going to get that puppy lit. So to be sure you have it lit, you want to hold your torch on it until you see flames when you pull the torch away. Then just blow those flames out, the smoldering takes over, and you're good to go. All right, let's get the meat on. All right, I'm putting this all on the top shelf. I'm not really worried about temperatures, I'm not using any probes or anything like that. Just giving it about 3 hours to set up that bark. See the smoke tube still going? Everything looks good. We'll see you again for the meat in about 3 hours. In the meantime, we have something to do for an incredible side dish. Back to the kitchen. So the chuck roasts are on the smoker, and the smoker's at 300 degrees. A beautiful thing's gonna happen. As that meat begins to cook, that fat is going to render. It's going to turn into liquid deliciousness. Now, some of that liquid deliciousness is going to drip and fall into my smoker and be wasted and just cause me a mess. No. We're not gonna waste that. Now, we've made this before on camera, but it's been a long time. So to utilize those incredible juices that are dripping off of the chuck roasts, we're gonna put a pan underneath it. And in that pan, we're gonna make some kick-ass beans. So let's get started. So to a disposable aluminum pan, I'm gonna add a couple cans of baked beans. We like the Bushes. And by the way, none of these brands that I mentioned are sponsoring us. They're just my favorite brands. To those beans, we're gonna add some of the same Roadhouse rub that I'm using on the beef to bring it all together. Probably about a tablespoon or two. There we go. To those beans, we'll add one small diced up sweet onion, about 6 or 7 strips of bacon that have been diced up, a pound of Jimmy Dean's breakfast sausage that I've cooked to about the 50% mark. There's still some red in there, but this is gonna cook for a while, so it'll take it the rest of the way. I just don't like to mess around, so I partially cook it before I throw it in here. To all that incredibleness, 2 more. Plowboy's Bean Buddy. This stuff is absolutely amazing, and again, you can get it from All Things Barbecue, atbbq.com, out of Wichita, Kansas. Sadly, don't sponsor me, but I just love most of the stuff they have. Good, thick, rich sauce. Now, it is thick and it's rich, it's delicious, so I don't want to lose any of that. So, to get the rest out of the jar, this comes from Cardinal Sin Distillery out of St. Louis, Missouri. The brand name is OMG. It is a brown sugar flavored whiskey, and this stuff is absolutely amazing. So, I add about a half a cup to my Bean Buddy jar there. Shake that up and we'll add it. So, I'm going to get this all stirred up, and then I'm going to put this underneath the chuck roasts at about the 1.5 hour point. As we talked before, they're gonna cook for about 3 hours. So why don't I put this out there at the very beginning? Well, one, this doesn't need 3 hours to cook uncovered. And 2, really, that fat's not gonna start to render until about the 1.5 hour mark, and that's when the drippings are gonna start to come down. So win-win there. Also, putting it out there uncovered, smoke tube, smoker, this is gonna get a delicious smoke flavor. So once we pull the chuck roasts, there is no more drippings to fall in there. So at that point, we will wrap this in tin foil so we don't lose too much of the liquid, and then leave it out there for the rest to cook so it's ready when the meat is ready. Whiskey and remaining Bean Buddy in. We'll stir it up and I'll get it on the smoker. We will see you at the 3 hour point when it's time to check our bark. See you then. This is right before it goes on the smoker. I did forget to mention, this is the Galley of the Sun. We love our hatch green chilies, so I added about a half a cup of fire roasted hatch green chilies to this incredible mixture. Alrighty, 1.5 hours into the cook. Our bark's beginning to form, and we have placed our beans underneath our chuck roasts. All right, so the chuck has been smoking for 3 hours. Now it's time to check and make sure we like the bark. And if we do, go ahead and pull them and switch to the next step, which is brazing, which we'll do inside. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, beautiful color, bark's looking fantastic. Let's get these pulled. And then after we do this step, I'm gonna cover the beans, because at this point, there's gonna be no more drippings. And it should have received plenty of smoke right now. And you can see the dark color on the top there. All right, now we move to the brazing portion. So I got my large aluminum foil pan here. In there, I'm gonna put about 3 diced up white onions. Make us a little layer on the bottom. Then we'll nestle our chuck roasts on top of that. They are smelling amazing, but I can tell they're no way near pulling right now. Next step is a little bit of art. Gonna do a little bit of painting. We're gonna put some Wagyu beef tallow on top of them. Help with that beefy flavor. Make sure we maintain our moistness. You don't need a lot of this, just a nice light coating. It doesn't have to be perfect either. It's gonna melt and run all over our gorgeous looking meat. Next step is to put some butter on top of it. I've taken 1 stick of butter here, cut it into several squares, so we'll set that on top of our meat to help with the creaminess of the juice that we're gonna have at the end. Then the last step is to get some liquid in there. What I have here is 4 cups of beef broth made with the Better Than Bouillon beef. That's our favorite brand. I may or may not use all of it. I don't need this covered. I just want the liquid level up to where it is touching the meat. Yeah, and I can tell with 11 pounds of meat here, I'm going to use the whole 4 cups. Now I'm going to get this covered with foil. It goes back out on the smoker for about 2 hours. At that point, I'm going to check the temperature. Now I'm not cooking to a temperature, but I know that for it to be ready to be pulled, it needs to be between 200 and 205. So once I go out there and see it's at 200, then I'm going to poke it in several areas, make sure there's next to no resistance with the thermometer probe. I'm looking for like going through warm butter. Once we hit that point, we're going to bring it inside and let it rest. We're going to put it in a cooler surrounded by beach towels, let it set for about an hour, then it's time to pull. As I said when I was out at the smoker, I'm going to get my beans covered also. They'll come off when these come off. And then you'll see us next when it's time to shred. So we'll see you then. All right, so the pulled beef has been through its 30-minute rest. Now it's time to get it shredded. But we have another step to do first. And the director is going to help me, because I need help. So we're going to reserve some of our beef broth to add to some barbecue sauce for our sandwiches. And that's what the director is going to expertly help me with. All righty. All right, that should be enough. There we go. Onions back in.
Danger, danger.
All right, now the beef shredding. And obviously this one's shredding well. And then I'm just going to add these back to the pan with all the juices and onions. Cotton liners and nitrile gloves, something you absolutely have to have if you barbecue a lot. As you can see, this comes apart just like pulled pork. Nice and easy. Okay, some of that heat's getting through my gloves. We'll slow down a little bit. Ouch. If you do find any big pieces of fat or gristle as you're doing this, and that's why I like to do it by hand, set them aside, unless you want to play gristle roulette.
Nope.
And see who ends up with it. But it'll probably be you, knowing Mr. Murphy. All right, here to try out both our pulled beef and our smoked Boozy Baked Beans is Stahl and Travis. So have at it and let me know how we did. There are 2 forks there, so you don't have to use the same one. Well,
Can I kiss you now or later?
we'll do it later to keep this PG. Fantastic, so the pulled beef is a hit. And the smoked Boozy Baked Beans.
Might be the best baked beans I've ever had.
I was about to say the same thing. Those are phenomenal.
There you go. Remember, kids, alcohol is not the answer, but technically it is a solution. So, hey, there we go, another hit. So thank you so much for joining us today. Until we see you next time, fair winds and following seas.